Guys, I'm gonna have a look at Dad's worm farms. Don't tell Dad. He didn't see me!
Been looking for Karen just everywhere, all around the house, around outside. It's raining, and I think she's hiding from me because she's supposed to help me with this video because we're going to be looking at all the maize worm farms after the trials we've been running here with the different bedding. And at the end, we're going to actually grab one and empty it right out. So hang out for that. I've got to go and find Karen so she can help me with the camera work. Karen! Maize garden is all about compost worms, composting, farming worms indoors and out, and growing some of the most awesome food around. You can learn how by clicking the subscribe button and hitting the bell so you don't miss any of my videos.
Welcome world to the Marty's Garden Show.
So I found Karen, she's behind on the camera now, and we're into it to show you how these worm farms are coming along, these maize worm farms, because they've all got 4 different beddings. And at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to empty this one right out and have a look inside. Now, this one only has 1 tier, all the others have 2, and they all have 1,000 worms in them. So if Karen comes closer to the camera, we can open this one up now, and we can have a look inside. Now this one, it just had the cocoa peat and the bedding that come with the worms. And then I used this tea tree bark to see if they would lay eggs in between it. And you can see, look, there's pretty much lots of castings in between the tea tree bark. And it's starting to break down, and there's lots of castings there, and there's layers and layers. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this, I'm going to empty this one out, and we're going to have a good look inside in the wheelbarrow at the end. But we'll keep moving along because I want to show you the different beddings because they're all performing very differently. And this was the idea with these at the beginning, was to just run some trials and then eventually do some reviews on these farms. So the next one here, this basically is just sawdust and coffee compost. And as soon as I open it up there, you can see a cocoon there near my thumb. A good size cocoon and good size healthy fat worms too. So that looks pretty good, and more cocoons on the mat and things. So overall that looks pretty good, but they haven't eaten all through that yet. Now underneath in the second tier, they've pretty much gone through it. So we're going to have a look at that now. Lift that up there. If Karen gets in, we can have a look and see. It's still not fully done yet. You can still see a bit of peat in there, but you can see the worms moving through. So it's not ready to be emptied out as of yet. What it means though is they're actually going up into this top level because they really love feeding on this type of bedding, the coffee compost. So we're going to move along to the next one now. Now inside here, we've got down the bottom is basically the peat and the worm mix when you buy the worms from maize. And in the top level is just my compost that I sell here from home. Just put straight. Now, when I first put it in there, they absolutely loved this stuff and hooked right into it. And you can see that it's much more finished than the coffee compost. They really loved it. They left straight from the bottom tier and went straight into that. And so that's a pretty good sign. The only thing is I can't see many cocoons on top or any sort of laying on the blanket as of much. Yes, Karen?
I just saw a heap.
You saw a cocoon there? There's one. Okay, so we are seeing a couple around where the castings are on the Hessian mat. And then underneath, we'll go underneath as well and have a look here and see if that's finished. No, it's still not finished. Bit to go yet. It's starting to get that shiny surface on it, but it still feels really grainy. So I would leave that, let go a bit longer. And it's also got a bit of a funky smell to it. A little bit more anaerobic, so I'm going to have to check that one out and find out why. I think it's just not draining as well. Might be a blockage in the hole. So this one is really interesting because it's half broken down compost. A lot of wood chip and leaf mould and different things in here. And they really love this too, I found, and got into it really quickly from the bottom tier and moved up in. And you can see they're getting into this blanket here. And if we can see if we can find any cocoons on the top here. I found that they haven't been real active. They might be laying cocoons more down in the bottom layer, in the other tier, the bottom tier. But this was all wood chip and sticks and everything. And wasn't a lot of soil in here. And they chewed through it. You can see a lot of that's nearly half done. So pretty interesting. It's more like a natural sort of bedding that you would get in the forest floor. And we'll go down below and have a look what's in here before we get to the back to the other worm farm and open it up and pull it all out. Now you can see here this is pretty much nearly done. So that means they were happier feeding down the bottom until they started moving up and feeding heavily in that other area. I think they just like moving around that sort of mulchy sort of stuff in the top tier. And you can see that's like, it's pretty much nearly done. So I could come through and harvest that. And there's not as many worms in there down the bottom as the other one. They seem to be all up in the top part of this farm. Now I said I wasn't going to leave the hungry bin. I was going to leave the hungry bin outside, but due to the hot weather I've decided to bring it inside and we're going to slowly fill it up. It's got sugarcane mulch in here and then horse manure because the horse manure wasn't killing the worms off, so there's some layers and some food down in deep there. And I've got the blanket sort of rolled up in the corner for them to come and lay cocoons. And there's about 3,000 worms in there. And I'm going to slowly fill this up over time to go into the second year for the hungry bin. Now, my hands are absolutely filthy, covered in castings here, but oh well, that's just the way it goes. I didn't put my gloves on or grab the tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to empty this worm farm out now. So, Karen's got the camera. It's getting bitten by a few midges. Just have a look inside that worm farm, Karen. You can see there where the tray slides out. That's a sliding tray. Oh. And it stops the castings from going down below into this. So just keep there into there down below, which is the catchment. Which I think is a really good idea. And you don't really see it in many worm farms. So I'm going to grab that out of there as well. Because there's a few worms in there. It's pretty moist. You want some?
No, thanks.
For brekkie? Brekkie?
No, thanks.
Okay, so we'll put this back in here, and then we're going to empty this out into the wheelbarrow. So 1, 2, 3, go. So we're going to scoop all through this now, and I sort of feel like that tea tree bark was a bit of a mistake. I don't feel that they really sort of laid many cocoons on it. I was hoping they were going to lay cocoons sort of in between and that it was going to rot down much quicker, but it's hardly broken down at all. It definitely holds a lot of moisture because when I've used it outside, there's a little baby one there, so there must have been a cocoon there, maybe. So maybe there were some cocoons on there. There's one escaping on my thumb just here. And so there's a lot of action going on here. 1,000 worms that were supplied by maize, and I've got to go through all this and get this material out. So hang on, is that a worm laying a cocoon there? No. So let's sort of pull this apart like that and see they're in between the material. It does hold a lot of moisture. And it didn't get anaerobic. It doesn't feel funky or anything like that. Oh look, there's a bit of a worm ball thing going on inside that one there. And so we'll keep pulling this to the side here and just have a look and see if we can spot any cocoons. You tell me if you see any cocoons, Karen. So there's sort of worm balling there again too. So they're breeding there. We'll cover them over. Still haven't found any cocoons yet. And I did bring my scoop here and I started digging in with my hands again. You see any cocoons, Karen?
No, I don't.
So, I wouldn't use this again. I think it was just a bit of a weird trial to use. And I'm basically going to remove all that out and put some new bedding in and start again. I've got some horse manure and peat that I've mixed together. and I've been finally sort of like sifting it to make it really thin, because I want to find out and be able to harvest and check cocoon numbers much better. So there's little worms in here though, look, little tiny ones. Look at that one. So there could have been cocoons in the bedding when I bought the worms as well, which is always very likely. Is that a cocoon there, Karen? We're on the cocoon hunt. It's not, is it?
No, it's not.
So I've got about 1,000 worms to pull out of here now, put into the new bedding back into the farm. That was cardboard sort of underneath on the bottom layer, and you can see the plastic that's left from it. So they've eaten through that cardboard that was on the bottom, and if we scoop through, we can see that it's pretty much nearly a finished casting. So I'm going to use that in the garden for sure, and just keep going from there. So that was a pretty good trial so far from this worm farm. Any questions, Karen?
No, no questions today.
What do you think? We got any questions from the viewers that may be interested in this worm farm, the maize worm farm, or using bark with bedding in the farm? It wasn't really a very good idea, was it?
No.
But we've got to try these things sometimes. I thought it was really going to work. I really did think they were going to lay lots of cocoons in between it and get really involved. Overall, the worms do look quite healthy, so I'm going to change the bedding, set the system back up again, and get it going into the future and keep you guys updated.
Well,
I've also got to go through all these other worm farms as well and do pretty much what we've done here.
Well, Dad,
Yes,
I
Karen?
have one question.
Yes.
Will paper bark break down through the compost?
Well, it should do. I thought it would have broken down much quicker, but there must be a lot of oils and tannins and things in here protecting it from breaking down very quickly. So the bacteria hasn't really got in there. But when I've got it outside in the windrows and it's sitting on top of my compost, it holds a lot of moisture and the worms get up underneath it and through it. So it definitely works outside in the windrows, but not so much in the worm farms as I sort of thought it would.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
All right. Awesome. Look, guys, if you want to learn how to farm worms at home, head over to martysgarden.com.au to the free video crash course. And if you want to take it further and do the masterclass in there as well. Have a great day. Happy gardening. And we'll see you at the next video real soon. Oh, Karen, don't you go running off and hiding anymore, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you will. I know you will. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.